your local chiropractor, Patrick Hall. So I'm currently reading a book. It's blowing my mind, the research that this guy has done and the amount of time he spent in his life doing the research. And some of the questions that he starts to pose and ask, which is, have you ever really thought about where your food comes from? Have you ever really wondered why medicine consistently prescribes drugs? And did you know that there are actually supplements on the market that cause more damage than good based on reductionist research? That's really interesting. When we look at health as a whole, the majority of the time we look at things in a very narrow-minded way rather than looking at the whole organism. But when we start looking at stuff like drug companies and the food industry and the supplement industry, these are all multi-trillion or billion-pound dollar industries. So I think the pharmaceutical industry is currently worth around $589 billion. The supplement industry is worth about $100 billion. The food industry, I wouldn't even like to imagine how much, but there are so many things such as milk and grain and dairies that have all been subsidized, and there are certain products as far as drugs, etc., that have all been subsidized through the research, the stuff that we paid through our taxes, etc. So have you really thought about what the drug companies and corporations are actually interested in? Are they interested in the patient themselves, or they're actually interested in the bottom line at the end of the month? In the same sense as the food industry is actually interested in delivering the best and highest quality food to the consumer, or is it interested in actually producing maximum profits? In the same sense, is the supplement industry really interested in your actual health, or selling you a product that mimics what the real foods and stuff could do and selling it to you that way? So I really just wanted to ask the question, it's like, when we look at the corporate world and we start looking at big pharma, are those people really there to help you? And are you actually questioning the advice and the information that's given to you? Because let's be brutally honest. Is high blood pressure a lack of statins, or a lack of beta blockers, or a lack of whatever other drug that they decide to prescribe for you? Or is this as a result of something that's taking part in your life? In the same sense as when we develop cancer, is this bad luck? Or is it all of the chemicals and extras that we've been consuming through our life, through the pesticides, through the antibiotics, through all the combustion, etc., the smoking, the alcohol, all the other things that we have in our life? So who is really to blame when we actually look at our health? Because we want to blame the pharmaceutical companies, and we want to blame our doctors, and we want to blame someone else other than the person that's most responsible for these changes. And we want to blame someone else and say, well, these guys are not providing me with X. Well, they're providing you with something that is working for the symptom that you've come to them with. But in order to actually solve that problem, that thing can't solve it, because it's not a lack of drug, or it's not a lack of diet that is causing the problem. Is actually understanding how, by changing long-term habits, that we can actually start to change those things. So even if we just go back to that blood pressure example that we just spoke about, by exercising, reducing salt, reducing fat intakes from our diet, and going to a higher fiber and plant-based diet, we can automatically start to see an improvement in someone's blood pressure. But guess what? It has to be sustained, and people don't want to do the work. And as a result, this is why corporate companies like Big Pharma can capitalize off of us, because we're all too lazy. And I said it, we're all too lazy. We're all too lazy to research what our food might be doing to us, and we're all too lazy to actually research whether the supplements are coming from a decent source. So we trust in the big corporate companies, who are there, like every single company on the planet, to maximize profits. So always be careful. If you ever got questions about whether this is the right thing for you, always take a minute to stand back, because 99 times out of 100, unless you have just had a heart attack, 99 times out of 100, you have enough time to step back from the situation, analyze it, and actually ask yourself the question, is this in my best interest? Or is this something that's potentially going to harm me? So always think about it when you're looking at those big corporate companies, big pharma, the food industry, and your supplement industries. Are you really getting what's best for you? And are you really reading what the research says? Patrick here from Complete Health. Don't trust until you know. That includes me, by the way. We will speak to you again soon. Take care for now.